I love coming out and sitting in the grow your own area, especially this spot here, because it has just a short window where I capture a little bit of shade, and it's absolutely lovely to sit here surrounded by all the foliage of many of my crops. But today I want to show you a particular favourite of mine, and that's celery. With its peppery flavour and that loud crunch when you bite into it raw. Celery is a low-calorie snack option that is good for overall health because it's packed with nutrients, and it's such a popular and easy crop to go in gardens. Now, celery is a biennial plant, meaning it produces flowers and seeds only in the second year. However, it is grown as an annual for the stalks, and that's what's eaten raw. Or you can put it as an ingredient into salads or flavourings in soups and stews, and I love doing that. It's also a key ingredient, believe it or not, in tomato ketchup, and it can also be made into salt as well, which is very, very tasty. Celery seeds can be sown between March and April, either into seed trays or pots filled with peat-free compost. You can sow the seeds directly into the ground, but it tends to be better to start them off in trays and then transplant the seedlings when they're large enough, making sure that they're big plants. Come May and June, the seedlings should be big enough to really handle outside. Now, celery is a marshland plant, so they're moisture loving and require rich, moisture retentive soil, preferably in a sunny spot. Now, take note though, you don't want the soil to dry out. When planting, dig a trench for the seedlings that's between 40 and 50 centimetres wide and about 30 centimetres deep. Dig in plenty of organic matter. The secret is in the soil. And also add in things like fertiliser, something like potassium, which will give the crops a great head start. Then the plants can be put in place with 23 centimetres in between each one, like I've done here. Now, there are a couple of types of celery, some of them that are self-blanching that don't need to be mounded up, and then others that are. So if you are planting the ones that do need to be mounded up, and it's clear on the label, when they've reached about 30 centimetres tall, you can mound up the soil by about 8 centimetres, keeping the top exposed, which will help the stems become blanched. Now, blanching is a technique that we use in horticulture, particularly when we want to grow certain types of veg, like celery and like leeks. You really want to stop the photosynthesis to ensure the vegetables have more of a delicate flavour and texture, and you do this by cutting out the light. Alongside celery, you can also use this technique for asparagus, cabbage, lettuce and rhubarb. However, there are self-blanching types of celery that make it so easy, like my ones here. And there are many different varieties to choose from. They don't need to be earthed up. They can be planted straight into the ground and they self-blanch themselves, doing the trick. And the flavour is absolutely marvellous. Now, there are many different popular types, and some of them are even small, which have shorter stalks, and they're perfect for picnic snacks. The key to growing great celery is to ensure the plants get lots of water. Throughout the spring and summer period, make sure that they're saturated. If there is prolonged dry spells, which we have been used to, the celery must be given plenty of water by hand during that period of time, and feed again with high nitrogen fertiliser, which is great, and that helps the crops establish and will deliver a much better harvest. Now, growing celery is really easy, certainly these self-blanching ones. And look at this, a couple of rows of celery, and look at the energy of the plant. I can't resist it. I'm feeling a bit peckish. So I'm pulling one off at the end, just like with rhubarb, you pull off a little bit of a heel there as well. And that lovely peppery, salty flavour, picked fresh. Doesn't get any better. Now, you can also freeze it too. Obviously, anything you put in the freezer does break down. It's not as crunchy when you take it out again, but if you're putting it into stews and casseroles and the like, it's pretty good. And I'll certainly be cleaning up some of these and putting them in freezer bags so I can use them throughout the winter months. Now, in fact, the whole thing is edible. The leaves as well. You don't want to eat too many of the leaves though, but the main stem is where the whole host of the flavours is. But the leaves have got more of a green flavour than the stem themselves, if green flavour is a flavour itself, but it tastes a little bit more earthy, where my favourite is definitely the saltiness and the flavour of the celery itself. Now, they're very easy to grow. There is a few common pests you'll come across when growing celery, and slugs and snails are of course some of these. You can pick them off by hand, or you can use chopsticks or a peg to move them into different locations. Of course, encouraging hedgehogs into the garden is pretty good because they will eat plenty of slugs, and so will frogs and toads and birds. So a diversity of wildlife is always good in and around your grow your own area. Now, the hearts and stems of celery have a tendency to be ready between August and October, depending really when you planted them. And when they're at the desired height, get hold of a sharp knife, go right down to the base and cut it well off with the plant itself. Now, celery is a highly nutritious snack, there's no denying that, but it can divide opinions with its flavour. You either love it or you hate it, and I definitely love it. But there's no denying that it's a rewarding crop to grow. Whether you opt for the self-blanching varieties for a low maintenance choice, or you want to get stuck in with earthing it up, it's a great one to have in your plot. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up and share. And for more great videos like this, please subscribe. Let me know about your experiences with growing celery or doing anything with blanching. And for more great information, you can visit my website, daviddomoney.com.